All right. I'm partially excited to do this because I used to always go back home to Connecticut every couple years and get white birch beer.
That's a good one. I just had that recently at a barbecue place in Philly.
And otherwise, we used to make root beer when I grew up down in Tennessee too. It was just basically, get a strong flavored something and make an extract and do it. Now, I unfortunately or fortunately am in Chile, so I can't cook along with you because I'm leaving in a couple days. But as soon as I get home, I'm going to see if your knowledge makes it so that I want to make another batch. But I first have to bottle my batch of ginger turmeric mead I have at home.
I will be honest, this is my first time making a root beer, but I grew up drinking it.
But I mean, you're a regular brewer,
yeah. So
the principles. You did say recently you did make white birch.
I did. That was the explosives.
I have probably my first 4 batches of brewing. I prematurely put it in the bottles, and they kept, bubbling, and had a bottle explode.
I honestly just forgot they were there, and then boom.
Forgot they were there. Yeah. So, what made you decide to do this one?
Well, you gave me the criteria as kind of like something familiar to you and what you grew up with, and
and something simple, yeah. So I mean, this is not complicated to make. It just takes a while to brew it.
Yeah, and it's you go to the Reading terminal and you'll get Pennsylvanisch Deutsch foods, baked goods, scrapple, pepper, bacon, meats, root beers. So I decided to tap into a little bit of that. So this is a Pennsylvania Dutch or Amish style recipe. But you can do anything you want. You can do it any style you want. But I chose, because of growing up in the Philadelphia area, I went for the Pennsylvania Dutch style.
Except you decided to really complicate it by making your own extract.
Yes, because I can't find extract, but I can find everything to make it.
All right, so here's the list of stuff you gave me for an extract. Sassafras root bark, sarsaparilla root. What's the difference between sarsaparilla and sassafras?
Different trees.
For some reason, I always thought sassafras was a sarsaparilla root beer.
Nope, not the same. Common confusion.
Licorice root, wintergreen leaves, anise seed, vanilla extract, molasses, brown sugar, and white sugar. Oh, that sounds wonderful. I want to make a cake with that.
Yeah, I got peppermint oil because it was too difficult to find wintergreen, so I got peppermint oil. So you can scale this down. I'll get into exact numbers in a little bit. And I got anise oil. These are both extremely strong flavors, so don't use a lot. These can overpower the recipe very easily if you overdo it.
Well, every one of these individually is extremely strong.
Oh, this is going to be a very spicy drink in the ginger beer sense of spicy. No, not right now. So I'm going to use a different scaled down version because I don't have an airtight seal except in 32 ounces. So
wait a second. You have to have an airtight seal? Oh, airtight. I mean, one of the things I always did when I brew, a cheap thing, was you just get a milk jug and then you put a balloon on top with a hole in it, so that it lets the gas come out. But you're saying it needs to be completely sealed?
That's what the recipe seems to indicate.
Okay.
Which is weird because normally in brewing, that's a huge no-no. So that threw me off. I couldn't believe I was reading that. So anyway, I got pure vanilla extract here, anise extract, peppermint extract, sarsaparilla, blackstrap molasses, white organic cane sugar. Most of the sugar you'll get at the store, your table sugar is actually from sugar beets. So I wanted to make sure 100% this is from sugar cane.
Yeah, I've run into that a lot when I have to make whatever, when you burn sugar for like glazes, that the majority of sugar in the US is not like a good sugar for that.
Yes, it's not. You need cane sugar. And then I got turbinado brown sugar. You can tell it's brown because the way I squeeze it. And then yeast, simple bread yeast will do, but you can also use it ale or champagne yeast, but be aware of the different values for different kinds of yeasts.
What I like about the Amish, or the kind I grew up with, is you're basically brewing it and you can drink it the same day.
Yeah, this should be done in about 5 hours, is what this seems to indicate. Let's hope nothing blows up. And so the first thing.
Are you going to have to say a stipulation, don't do this at home? You are doing this at home. You regularly brew stuff at home.
When you do it at home.
Yeah.
So let me look at my recipes. So the thing here is the reason I'm doing this is like, this is the cardinal sin, like blasphemy against the Holy Ghost of brewing is airtight. So that really concerned me. But anyway, so this is an extra 2 cups of sugar. So gallon container, tight fitting lid is what it says.
So are we going to start by making the extract? Because I mean, basically
we have to. Yeah. We have to do the other stuff first.
Okay.
We need warm water, and we're gonna put all the ingredients into a tight fitting lid. So I'll the water first, actually, the extract first, actually. So I'm gonna be going back and forth because I have, now double.
I do know when you brew stuff, you want to make sure you're using water that's either distilled or you've allowed the chlorine to dissipate. So like,
yes,
you can bring water up to a boil and then shut it off and leave the lid off, and the chlorine will dissipate. I learned that from friends in Thailand. They do that regularly.
I think I'm gonna do that because I don't have water, so I'll be using that will bring to a light boil.
And the reason why you don't want to have chlorine, because that of course will kill the yeast from creating it's chemical. What is it? Chemical? No, bacterial process.
Yeah, it's microorganisms. So I have to use my bathroom for my water because my sink is not working. So there's going to be a little more moving around than what.
What do you call it? You didn't have to tell us that. We can't tell. I mean,
okay, I thought you.
This is a low-tech Amish recipe. You have to actually go out to your front yard and pump it with the hand pump. Have one of your Amish young relatives pump that water from 150 feet down to get that clear, good spring water. And that's your base. I've been watching these videos of this Chinese guy, and he always says, use water from the Mississippi River. It's like, what? It's like every one of his recipes. So
sounds more like a spell than a recipe. Anyway, so let's start with the extract. What did I say?
Can you tell us how hard it was for you where you are to get the ingredients, like sassafras root and sarsaparilla root and licorice root? Is that hard to get?
We have a store that sells them.
So you're like just basically a brew store.
No, we sells herbs. Now, the reason for this is that
every time you move around, we lose connection.
Sassafras is ingredient in methamphetamines as well as root beer. So
Can you stay in one place for a minute, because we keep losing connection?
yeah, I'm standing in the same way. I'm just trying to find my
So yeah,
Sorry about that.
the basic root beer recipe is, once you've got the extract, the prep time itself is like nothing. I mean, you basically just mix, like here it says 2 cups of sugar, 4 teaspoons of root beer extract, and 4 teaspoons of yeast into a gallon container with a tight fitting lid, and then fill half full with warm water.
I'm trying to do calculations. So I have a 32-ounce thing, and I gave you that recipe and that numbers. That's for 5 gallons. So what would be the measurements there to make it 4 tablespoons, as it calls for, in terms of the
Okay,
extract?
this is for 1 gallon, so just divide it in half. So it says 2 cups of sugar, so you need 1 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of root beer extract, and 2 teaspoons of yeast, with a half gallon of warm water that, you know, basically.
And we only wanted to fill half. So the extract itself, however, I mean, so the 2 cups of sassafras root bark is for 5 gallons, and I want.
Oh, okay, so the 5 gallon recipe. So if we're going to divide it by 4.
Yeah.
No.
I usually just have a calculator for but I can't use it because.
So a 1/4 cup of sassafras root, a 1/4 cup. No, let's see. Divide by 4. Half a cup of sassafras root, half a cup of sarsaparilla root, and then everything else is a 1/4 cup.
Right, and then we would have to bring in the calculations that it is in fact 4 cups, 4 tablespoons. Geez. Yeah, tablespoons.
So
that's another calculation. One second. The one thing I missed is my licorice.
Should I pause for a second and allow you to get yourself together?
Yeah, that'd be good. So what do we have first?
Let's see. It says sassafras root bark, sarsaparilla.
Yeah, so let's start with the root bark, sassafras. So how much?
Sassafras, a half a cup.
Half a cup, but then we need, is that enough for 4 tablespoons of the extract we will ultimately be making?
That I don't know. You said this is 5 gallons, so I'm making it, narrowing it down to, because you're only making
32 ounces, because I do want to scale also to that number.
So half a cup sassafras root, half a cup sarsaparilla root.
Yeah, I guess we could add more later.
We don't have the camera anymore.
Oh no, I'm just cutting the sassafras, and I don't know why.
So is it a secret? We're not allowed to see it?
No, it's right here. It's just I realized what the problem was now. It was that I had the I was looking.
So when you're buying it, are you buying it as like a big root, or is it already graded?
This is it. It's in this bag here, so it's already graded.
Yeah, because I remember as a kid, we would get the actual root, and it'd be just this dried up, corny, like just impossible to do anything, and we'd have to then first like soak it for a day or so to get it soft enough to then be able to chop it up.
That is very interesting. I don't think that's how it was back in the day here, but this is the city, so that's to be what I was expecting.
So yeah, it's nice that you can buy. I wonder what people use these for otherwise, if you can just buy it at a regular
from what
store.
I understand, it's a bunch of like new age, like herbalism kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, because I have to go in my town to a special brew store to get.
Yeah, it's like crystal healing, but like root beer flavors instead.
Okay. So a half a cup
Even
of
if you don't get
sassafras
keeled,
root,
at least you get root beer.
half a cup of sarsaparilla root, and then, man, this is intense. So you just boil this in water with sugar.
Yep. You think I should put it right in the water, or you think I should put it in my thing? Right.
No, to make the extract, you would boil it in the water for just a few minutes.
Okay. Well,
I mean, you could put it right in it, but then you're not really extracting it. You want to get the heat to extract it out.
Would a full thing do? Like I have, is that
Or like what we did with the other thing where we just put the elderberry flowers and just dumped it into the brew kettle.
yeah? So the amount of water doesn't matter that much then.
It's like, all right. So you did a half a cup of sassafras, now half a cup of sarsaparilla.
Yep, I just gotta. So yeah, because I'm a little nervous about this recipe.
A quarter cup of licorice. Why are you nervous?
Because sodas are very easy to the sugar, the high sugars and everything. And I don't want to have too much water.
For it to explode, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that. Natural.
Yeah, I mean, but partially, if you don't forget it, you're only letting it brew for like 5 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then you want to open it up. Just like.
Yeah, I'm worried that I have too much water in my boiling thing and that it'll dilute the flavors as well.
Yeah. So let's see, quarter cup of licorice and a quarter cup of wintergreen leaves, but you said you were just going to use some peppermint extract instead.
Yes, it's supposed to boil, you said. It's supposed to be boiled.
Yeah, just boil a little bit.
Okay.
Anise.
Anise. And this said 1/8 in the field version. So I'm going to use 1/8 teaspoon for this. Okay, I guess I'm using a fourth, actually.
Yeah, I think this is one of the recipes where you want to err on the side of too little flavor.
Yes, very much so.
Because I mean, sassafras root, sarsaparilla root, licorice, wintergreen, anise, molasses, brown sugar, white sugar, and vanilla. I guess really, I mean, vanilla is the only one on. Well, even vanilla is really pretty strong when you buy it as an extract. It's pretty watered down.
Yeah, I just put in the anise and I just dumped in the star. And how much vanilla call for? I feel like we can do a little more. Like 1/4 teaspoon.
Yeah.
And it'll be a very vanilla-y flavor, but I don't think that's a bad thing. So.
And then it's a quarter cup molasses, a quarter cup brown sugar, and a quarter cup white sugar.
I'm going to start with the white sugar because molasses will get all sticky. And I'm going to take it off the boil for that because we don't want to kill the sugars. You know what I mean? But I will.
I mean, you could put it on a low simmer. I mean, like the lowest temperature, so it stays warm, so it melts everything.
Do you see this?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're working.
Oh yeah,
this is quite.
It's warm enough already. It looks like.
Yeah, that's why.
So,
I think I might let it sit for a little bit.
So you're just shooting to try to get 4 teaspoons of root beer extract. So if you make this ahead of time, you can make a lot of it and store it.
Yeah.
In a dark, probably just like the regular extracts come in the dark container, so it doesn't break down.
Yeah. So how much sugar did you say in terms of white sugar?
Quarter cup white, quarter cup brown, and a quarter cup molasses. Thanks for sending me the recipe and making me feel like I'm participating here by being your sous chef.
Yes, yes.
Does it matter what kind of white sugar? I know there's pure cane and beet
I
sugar.
would suggest cane sugar because sugar beet has a very high flavor density in terms of sweetness. It's very purely sweet. So I would want
Yeah. So you're not putting the sugar in for sweetness. You're putting the sugar in for something for the yeast to eat.
Yeast,
but
got
also the
it.
sweetness.
Actually, no, in the
Now,
extract, you could put any type of sugar probably. In the actual recipe, you
We're
want
making
to
the
put,
extract right now. Is what we're,
right. So right now we're making the extract. You could probably put any type of sugar.
I
in that.
actually think I might have enough to store the extract. Actually, I might actually do that anyway.
And so for the actual recipe, right now we're trying to make 4 teaspoons of root beer extract. And then for
Yep.
the actual recipe, it's 2 cups of sugar, 4 teaspoons of root beer extract, and 4 teaspoons of yeast for 1 gallon of.
If you bought root beer extract, I'll be with you in a minute, basically.
Just like I'm very excited to actually make this, that you're making this from scratch, because like you said, almost all these ingredients are kind of almost readily bought, versus root beer extract is kind of harder to find. Unless
Yeah.
you go to a brew store.
Specialist shop, yeah.
So
Okay, so now last thing, blackstrap's a little stronger than brewing molasses though, so I might want to tone it down a little. How much did you say?
a 1/4 cup. So I would put just a little bit, because that stuff is, blackstrap is so strong.
Maybe just a drop, like just a little whoop right in
Maybe
there.
a teaspoon.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
We're just making stuff up.
We are,
But
that's okay.
But I mean, part of that is, how do you want yours to taste? For example, I don't really like licorice at all. So I would probably not put any licorice in mine.
I'm very much aiming for that Pennsylvanisch Deutsch Wurzelbeer.
So they're really dark, intense flavor.
Yes, very spicy, very, I mean, it reflects the era of their technology.
Which is very funny, because it's like very much backwards from their culture. Their culture is very much about plainness and staying away from the wild devil. And this sounds like very devilish.
It does seem a little bit like a witch in a cauldron, doesn't it?
I mean, well, really intense flavors. So yeah, I mean, you don't think of the Pennsylvania Dutch or the plain Amish as that wild.
Yeah. While we're waiting, I could give a little brief intro to anyone not familiar on why it's Pennsylvania Dutch.
I didn't hear you.
While we're waiting, I could give a little brief thing on where the term Pennsylvania Dutch comes from.
Okay, what are we waiting for?
No, while we're waiting for the thing to calm down and get the extract in the brew and the heat all right.
So you brought it up to almost a boil, and now you're just with all the herbs in it.
It was at a boil. It was.
Okay, now you're just mixing all the sugars into it when it's off the flame.
Yep. It's still on, the flame's off, but it's where the flame was. But I don't think it'll matter that much, because this is the extract. And we're going to be putting in more sugar again after this.
Right.
I'm worried a little bit about the water count. Extract for any specific amount of water, so I don't think it really matters. Let me check.
You can always water it down.
Oh yeah, I was worried about having too much water. I don't think that'd be a concern. 1 cup of licorice. Wow, I have a pure licorice extract. It's going to be way more intense flavor. Let me look for
that. Remember that recipe there is for 5 gallons. So you have to divide it by 5. So
you can't.
Yeah. So why did you pick this particular Pennsylvania Dutch recipe?
Because it has changed, where I grew up,
in addition, it is, you know, a brewing thing, which I think I have a reputation on the show for. A good reputation.
Well, you definitely have a
Hold on.
reputation of sampling your wares. Definitely. Just like in the good medieval sense of the word.
Like
sample.
any good cook, they sample their cooking as they go along.
It's like, well, just like the hard part when you're brewing is waiting. What I like about this one is, you know, it's like a 4 or 5 hour recipe. It just like, you're just putting the 3 ingredients into a gallon container. Now, the interesting thing for me is the tight fitting lid. I never think when you brew that you don't want to have it be able to breathe. But
I'm just wondering if, because it's only 5 hours, you just get a little fizziness, but you're not really doing a full fermentation.
which actually would explain, because I think the Amish, or there's some culture that they don't drink carbonated beverages.
I
And
think
so
I
maybe
think
that's
the
part of it,
Mormons.
is they're trying to keep it from having too much fizz.
I think
So
Because they make wines. I mean, we've all heard of champagne, we've all heard of sparkling wines, but they make wines that are even have less fizz. They have a name for them or something, but they're got
Yeah.
a little bit of fizz, but not a lot.
okay. So this is coming off the. I think I like the look. Now, are we supposed to? Hold on.
so that's your extract. Now, if you just need, I mean, you just need 4 teaspoons. You know, and so one trick, instead of pouring it all, if you have a strainer or colander, just put the colander in it and then scoop from the center. Like, just set the colander in the pot or a tea strainer, and instead of pouring it through, you just set it in there, and then you could scoop your 4 teaspoons out of the strainer. You know, because you only need
So is
4.
that,
But I would.
are you going to be able to keep that extract for the next go around? Does it,
Oh,
will
yeah.
it keep?
Yes.
A lot of sugar in it.
Yeah. You'd want to put it in something that's not sealed, I would think, for it to. Well, most of the extracts you buy from the store is they put, you know, denatured alcohol in it to
Well,
store it.
They pasteurize them usually.
Right. So, yeah, I'd say, Ryan, you need to get your gallon of warm water for your main batch of beer going, because the main batch is, you need, let's see, we're making, well, in your case, you're making a half gallon. So basically, yeah, you need to put all the ingredients into a container with a tight fitting lid.
Yeah.
And the ingredients are 2 cup sugar, root beer extract, and yeast. So
Yeah.
put
Sorry.
in the chat.
So I'm gonna add.
You muted yourself. All right, so for 1 gallon, it's 2 cups of sugar. And this is where you definitely want to do that real cane sugar, because you're trying to feed the yeast and not really create sweetness. 4 teaspoons. 4 teaspoons.
We're gonna add. I can't find the licorice, so I'm gonna add more star anise since that's a substitute.
Oh, I'm excited about that because I don't like licorice. I don't know what it is, but I've just never liked licorice.
I love licorice, especially black licorice, but I know that I'm in the minority.
Really? You think
Yep.
so?
I
I don't
like
find
licorice
many
either.
people who don't like it.
I don't like licorice.
See, I'm in the
So-
minority. I feel like I added a little more and it's gonna really,
So for
really
1
affect the
gallon,
flavor,
it's
but
two
this
cups
is
of
spicy.
sugar, 4 teaspoons of the root beer extract, and 4 teaspoons of yeast.
Yeah,
And
and
so
it
if you're
doesn't
doing a
matter
half
if this
gallon,
water's chlorinated, right?
we just cut that in half, right? So
Yeah, I don't think it matters so much if this is chlorinated, right?
no, I would say that there shouldn't be any chlorine because it would kill the yeast. Yeah.
I need
And so
another. I need another.
But well, give it a try. It just probably it would
Yeah.
take longer to brew. I would not use water that had chlorine if you were doing like a 6-gallon batch or a 5-gallon, whatever they're called. The
Yeah,
big
I'm not
bucket.
gonna take the chance. I'm just gonna
Um,
more water.
and so
So
one of the tricks I always learned is if you just taking water from the sink, it still has some chlorine in it. So you just bring it up to, a simmer, and then you just set it aside with the lid off and the chlorine dissipates.
how long does it take to dissipate?
I don't know. I mean, in my friends in Thailand, they have really high amount of chlorine in their water. So they let it set quite literally overnight. But
You can also put it in a glass bottle and set it out in the sun, and it'll get rid of the chlorine.
Hi, everybody.
Sunlight.
that actually in this recipe, it says, put the ingredients into a container with a tight fitting lid, put the cap on and set in the sun or a warm place for at least 4 hours. So really this isn't anything but sun tea. Any of you guys ever make sun tea? Where you just get a
Exactly.
gallon jug, you put your herbs in the jar with some warm water and set it out there. Except we're doing root beer extract. So, all right. Yeah, Ryan said that they're having some plumbing issues getting repaired and loud noises. So
Yeah, that should be dealt with for the foreseeable future. Cool. So now that that's been dealt with, so I got the extract going. I got my thing on. So what is a sun tea?
sun tea is you just get herbs and you put it in a gallon. Usually, I mean, the best is to get like a gallon wide mouth jar so you can take the herbs back out, and then you just set it out in the sun and the sun brews it. So
How? Where? Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
okay. So basically
What's that
now
from
you just
for?
need to get
I'm
your
curious about
water.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it
Um,
on a very high heat to get that going. I'm glad. Yeah, I don't think the extract we need to worry about the sugars dying as much, because that's not what's doing the
Right.
fermentation. Whereas
So
this,
you could
it's a
put
very big deal.
all your ingredients, it says, in your container. So you need
Yeah.
1 cup of sugar for 32 ounces, 1 cup
Yeah.
of cane sugar,
Yeah. Well, you
2
could, some,
teaspoons of root beer extract, and 2 teaspoons of yeast.
yeah, some like craft brewers will tend to use honey, so that's an option. It's a little more traditional. So I'm gonna move-
Especially in your specialty, Middle Eastern, medieval brewing.
I like have 3 like radically like different specialties. Like one is like classical antiquity, and the other's like the Bronze Age, and then the other's like medieval, like Scandinavia and Britain, that kind of area. And they all have nothing in common with each other.
So I wonder if in the extract, if I used honey instead of sugar, honey is a preservative, that it would
Yes.
stay better to use later.
It likely would. It likely would. That's why a lot of craft brewers use it, but I'm going for a homemade Amish style colonial.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this yet, but I'm going to be making my own recipe to mimic a particular style and ingredients available for a particular location.
I haven't quite gotten around to it yet. So I'm just curious, who decided to get root beer extract and who decided to do it wholesale? No one got it. No one got any ingredients, did they? I have a feeling.
Well, where I'm in Chile, it'd be hard for me to get a lot of this stuff. But
What about the rest of you guys?
just
I
like,
did not, because I'm not a big fan of root beer.
I had a
so you
feeling
definitely wouldn't be a fan of
actually
this
focus.
particular one. This is like a really dark punch in the face flavor versus
Yeah.
a lot of the ones in the stores and stuff are the lighter version.
And more carbonated.
Yes, definitely. I don't like how carbonated most commercial root beers
This
are.
is not very carbonated. This is going to be a yeast-based root beer. Well, you're looking at light carbonation. Unless you put a lot of yeast in.
Yeah. So,
I'm not
um,
or because I haven't done the chemistry, but is this will this come out alcoholic?
not in 4 hours, I doubt. But I mean, if you let it set for a while, it'll keep bubbling. You definitely wouldn't want to keep it sealed.
Yeah,
That's where you get your explosions.
Yeah,
But I mean, you could do poor man's brew where you just get a gallon milk jug, mix it, put it in there, and then put a balloon with a pinprick on the top of it.
moonshine.
And then basically the balloon is while it's brewing, and then when the balloon falls over, you know it's ready to drink. Not completely over,
So I
but
got
like when it starts
I
falling
got
over.
this.
So, but
So one second. So this
now you could mix everything in the pot, but the
Yeah.
recommendation is to mix everything in the container itself.
yeah. You
So put for a gallon, 2 cups of sugar, 4 teaspoons of the root beer extract, and then 4
yeah,
teaspoons.
I need to take a lot of stuff.
So,
Yeah, is it for root beer, do you think? See the balls on the bottom?
man, Ryan, you're making what's a really simple recipe really complicated. Not really. We just made
Oh, there's-
the root beer extract from
Million
scratch.
things.
That's all.
yeah. So do you think that this would be, because the thing about this is it's very, well, maybe simple, it's very fragile. It's very easy to go wrong. If this is too hot, forget it. If this is too cold, forget it.
Yeah. So you want like warm water, which would just be just slightly over, probably just over 100 degrees.
And I don't have any way to test that, so.
Oh yeah, just like basically just slightly warm to touch.
Okay,
So-
this is definitely hot to touch. Like I'm not
Okay.
putting.
So
You
put
can
all
also-
your
putting my hand in
ingredients,
this, even
put all your
God tells
ingredients
me
in
to.
your container.
Yeah.
And then by then the water will cool off that you can pour it in your container.
Okay, yeah, that's like hot, like miracles of the Bible. You don't get burned.
So 1 cup of sugar, again, good old cane sugar will is better because
Yeah.
you're not really trying to get the sweetness of beet sugar. You're trying to get the
Beet
sugar
sugar's too
that
sweet.
the yeast eats.
By the way, Amazon has a whole bunch of different root beer extracts, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
they
you
do,
can get
huh?
it. You can get it from a brew store. You just can't. I've never seen it.
I
at-
just noticed one here that 2 ounces makes 4 gallons, it says.
Yeah,
So,
so it's, so one moment.
I mean,
So
the
the
nice
thing
thing
is,
about
though-
making it from scratch, you can choose
Yeah,
like what flavors you want more in it. Like
Sure.
I definitely would, skip the licorice and, pump up the sarsaparilla because I kind of like it. So,
Yeah, So I'm gonna, how much did it say for the extract?
2 teaspoons of the extract, because you're doing half a gallon. So 1 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of extract, and 2 teaspoons of yeast in your container that'll have a tight fitting lid, and then half fill it full of water and shake really well.
Yeah, I'm interpreting as airtight.
Have the
That's my
tight fitting
interpretation.
lid because you're going to shake it. If you don't have a tight fitting lid, you're going to have root beer all over the place.
But
Yeah, so
I definitely think part of the
So I
tight
feel like
fitting
this is
lid
not
is to
enough.
make it so there's no oxygen in there, so it doesn't keep,
just,
you know,
yeah.
it stops
Does
the.
anyone else think that's not enough?
No, that's looks good. But
All
did
right.
you
I guess
you
we can always
haven't,
add more later.
and then half filled with water, shake, and then fill it full of water, and then you put it in the cap on it and set it out in the sun or a warm place for 4 hours.
Is that
Nice
too
and
much
simple.
sugar, do you think?
I guess it matters how sweet you want it, but
Well, this was a cup.
yeah, so this recipe says 2 cups for a gallon, so you're doing half a gallon. So
Yep. So a cup and then 2 teaspoons. It looks like it's not enough, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
I see.
and it's not
Especially
like
in
your
rural.
typical brewing where you have to have enough sugar in it for it to brew for like, you know, a month or 2 months. Because you're only letting it brew
So
for 4
it is a
hours.
little hot. It's hot to the touch, but like hot where it hurts, but not to the point where it's Bible miracles anymore. It
Perfect.
is a little not comfortable. So I want to give it a little more though, because if it burns skin, that means it burns cells, which means it burns microbes, which means it's going to kill. This became a biology report.
Will
So
do.
how much yeast?
Yeast is 2 teaspoons for half gallon.
Gotcha. I'm gonna put in the half more because I feel like I didn't get quite as much of the extract.
Now, how do you tell if yeast is old? That was
Don't. It's you really don't. If it's open, it's probably old. So how much yeast did it say? I'm using
2
bread
teaspoons.
yeast. 2 teaspoons.
Now, do you have any specific type of yeast? I tend to buy the.
I used bread
brew plate.
yeast.
What kind?
I used bread yeast.
Okay. I buy champagne yeast from the brew place near my house.
Champagne yeast is good, but this is a first try. I don't think we need to. So 2 teaspoons, TSP. Okay, let me give this.
Yeah, I don't know. I always mix teaspoons and tablespoons, so I don't really have to watch. So, all right.
Hold up. 1. Let's do another. So 2. So this is what I have in terms of yeast. This is what it will do. You see?
Well, now I want to see with the water and it starts bubbling. Yeah.
Me
I wonder
too,
how long it
but
takes
it's not-
before it starts bubbling.
Oh, it's already bubbled. It's cooling down. A little too high. I feel pain, which means it's going to kill the yeast. So while we're waiting, did you guys just any questions I can answer, Matt?
Yeah, let's do the questions and wrap up because I don't want to wait 4 hours.
No, we're not going to wait 4 hours, but we should check in 4 hours. I'll let you know. I'll send a video.
Yeah, if it actually looks like anything, a bubbling or something, we could post like a little short video of it.
Yeah, I'll do that and I'll send a picture. Everything.
If it blows up all over the wall, send us a video of that.
Oh yeah, definitely send us a video of that. Just
So,
like
questions, comments, concerns.
well, I mean, you probably did the main concern, which is, will it blow up?
Yeah. Any
Yeah.
other questions?
But so basically it says, put the cap on, set it out in the sun or warm place for at least 4 hours. And then after that, put it in the fridge, let it cool down, and it's ready to serve over ice or, in a
I'm
roper.
curious how it tastes room temperature personally,
Yeah. So,
because I know a lot of people complain about root beer, like especially in Europe. So, and
I mean,
heard
looking at
one of the
this list
theories-
of ingredients for the extract, it just got to be like way too intense for most anything. But the nice thing about root beer, like if I go to this, a bar or restaurant and order root beer, I usually order a glass of water too. Then I can mix it to my desired strength.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
I love root beer, and I'd be very interested for his comments after he's finished what it tastes like.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I'll
this
send a
root
little
beer
video.
extract, I'll put it in the chat again for the people who came late. But here's the extract where we made from scratch. Sassafras root, sarsaparilla, licorice, wintergreen, anise, vanilla, molasses, brown sugar, white sugar.
Well, they use ouzo in Greece, and it's a licorice base.
Yeah. So, all right. Any final questions? Ryan, do you have a final something to say? Otherwise,
I do want to do some. I want to show the shake and everything because we're getting very close to the shaking. I just need to let it cool down a little bit. I figured we do questions before the shake, before we end, because we
All
have
right.
time.
I don't think we have any more questions. So you either have to shake or I wrap it up.
All right, let me wash my hands, give it a test, and then let's see. It's almost there.
But what's so special about the shake? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, because that's going to be the part to see if this actually works or if we just get a huge mess.
Well, so you want it on camera to show a huge mess? All right, let's do it. I'm excited. I mean, that's part of this show is all about showing the mistakes. It's not like this, 5-minute video where you just everything's pre-prepped ahead of time and you just, take the cooked turkey out of the oven. So.
Yeah, it's ready. It doesn't cause me pain. All right, so halfway filled, you said, right?
Yep, halfway filled, close it, of course.
We're not
And then
seeing
shake-
anything. We're not
shake
seeing
the
anything. We're not seeing
One
anything.
second. Let me reposition myself. I'm gonna place this here. You won't see anything now, but you will when it's time.
Well, there's just a jar of a bag of sugar. All we see is a bag of sugar.
Okay, you cannot. Let me move some. That was poorly positioned.
There you
Okay,
go.
there we go. That's better.
So you're just using just like a regular jar you have.
Yep.
But so in that jar, we've got sugar, root beer extract, and yeast, and now the warm water. Halfway, you shake it up. Well, seal it,
Yep.
shake it up, and then once it's combined, you fill it all the way up, and then you set it in a warm place or in the sun for at least 4 hours. And then after 4 hours, you put it in the fridge to chill.
I have thoughts. First thought is we made a mess and successfully did it both, but this looks a little light to me, so I'm gonna add more root beer extract.
I mean, wouldn't you just open it up and smell it?
Let me try that.
Because I mean,
It
I don't
smells
think
like
it
a
would
cake.
look, it wouldn't look black like, the root beer you get from stores.
They
I
put
think
coloring in it.
artificial
They put-
color in it.
They put a coloring in it, yeah.
Because sarsaparilla
Well-
itself, when I grew up, sarsaparilla itself was clear.
I'm getting a smell, but I can't describe it to you. It's so unique.
Well, try the actual recipe, see how strong it is, and you have more extract you can add to it.
Yeah, I think we're and I'll put it by the window because it calls for the sun.
Like, what's your temperature outside? You can't put it out in the sun.
It's pretty wintry.
Pretty
Oh
wintry.
boy. Oh boy.
It's already
See this
bubbling.
exploding. Yeah, and it's all it's yeah, it is. Now I'm
Close
worried
it,
about the
seal
air
it, seal
escaping,
it. It says seal it.
but I'm hearing
Just like
okay.
I would put that in like the
put on your,
bathtub just
put
in
on
case.
your goggles, put on your goggles.
I'd put it in the bathtub
I'm
just
gonna
in
actually
case.
go like
Doesn't
hide somewhere. That's nuts.
Just like, all
Put it
right.
outside right
Hiding
now.
my
Put it
balls.
outside right now.
No, you can't
It'll
put it
cool
outside.
down.
Fred, you're in California, but he's below freezing if he puts it outside.
Well, just put it out there and at least it won't be hot. It'll just for a few minutes.
It needs to stay warm.
All right, let me
for
get
4
my
hours.
jacket. Please don't.
All
kill me.
right, thanks.
Oh,
Thanks,
shit.
Ryan. We'll wrap up the recording
right.
and stick around and ask questions and chat. Like, all right. Thank you so much. He's gone.
Absolutely.